Patrick CC, Jonah Hill can't do anything right. I love Jonah Hill. I love Jonah Hill, so I'm really excited about this.
Jonah Hill once said, "I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person," and then spent his whole career proving exactly that. Everybody
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that. Ooh.
has a different perception of Jonah. Some see him simply as a comedy film legend. Some see a self-important nepo baby who takes himself too seriously. Others see a toxic man-child.
Oh my god, is that what he looks like now? Oh my god, is that for a movie? Or... oh, gee. Oh no. No, I just thought it was funny. He used to be so funny, like Superbad and stuff. And then even Wolf of Wall Street was like that was a great role. In Wolf of Wall Street. Fantastic.
Who weaponizes therapy speak to control his girl.
Ooh, the one where they sell guns, you know? Him and the guy from Whiplash. War Dogs. Ugh, really good movie.
Girlfriend. And if they aren't talking about any of those things, they are hyper-focused on his weight loss and weight gain, gawking at him like some sort of zoo animal. Over the years, Jonah has attempted to respond to all of the hatred towards him, but every time he does, things only get worse. Critics and fans never seem to be satisfied, making it seem like he just can't do anything right.
I came up like, you know, in goofy comedy.
Oh, I hate Ellen, dude. I'm so glad that show's over.
And this kind of like curly-haired, overweight kid, and everyone had their own opinion on what I should be, how they could speak to me, how they could treat me.
Jonah Hill went from a complete nobody to securing
Dude, look how young he looks right there.
roles in countless early 2000s comedy bangers. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Grandma's Boy.
I forgot he was in that one, dude.
Countless early 2000s comedy bangers. The 40-Year-Old
The eBay store that she has, the like on-site, they consign your stuff.
Virgin, Grandma's Boy, Click, Accepted, Knocked Up, Evan Almighty. In 2 short years, he became a reliable secondary or tertiary character that would give audiences funny moments.
Ask me about my winner!
However, it's unsurprising that Jonah got so many opportunities early on, considering he fits the standard definition of a Hollywood nepo baby. Jonah's father, Richard Feldstein, is an extremely successful Hollywood business manager who manages the business and financial affairs of
Feldstein, huh? Feldstein got that money?
high net worth and high income clients. Richard started as an accountant for various Hollywood acts and notably served as the accountant for the iconic rock band Guns N' Roses. Jonah's mother, Sharon Feldstein, is a costume and fashion designer in Hollywood. Her first big job was working as an assistant to Mr. Daniels, who was the executive producer, on the set of the popular 70s and 80s show Taxi, and from there worked on various popular 80s and 90s TV productions. Jonah grew up in Hollywood, and with his parents' connections, he had too big of an advantage to fail.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. Looks the same, bro.
Then again, he proved to the world that his parents weren't the only reason he would be successful after his hilarious performance in the smash hit Superbad. Superbad was written by Seth Rogen and his childhood best friend Evan Goldberg to loosely resemble their real experiences as teenagers. Teenage Seth would be played by Jonah Hill, making it his first leading role on a major Hollywood set. Jonah knew this was his biggest opportunity to date, so he wanted to make sure everything went perfect. He did not hold back from letting everyone know that he did not want Christopher Mintz-Plasse to get the role of Fogel, aka McLovin. Immediately after Chris's audition, Jonah Hill was like, "Not that guy." In the films,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's perfect for the movie. That's why he was such an asshole.
Seth and Fogel have animosity towards each other, which was also the case behind the scenes. Seth Rogen said, "Jonah effing hated him. He was all over Jonah's lines, completely disrespectful of the process, probably due to a lack of experience." Then Jonah said, "Chris just immediately shut me down, so combative. I was really annoyed because this guy wouldn't let me say anything."
Jonah Hill hated me so much after my audition. I walked out. I get it. I was 17. I was not a professional actor. I kind of went in. I was in high school, and we're playing high school kids. So, like, Jonah's roasting me. And you remember being in high school, you were just like, yeah, it's my buddy roasting me. It's not going to bother me. I'm going to roast him back. And that's what I did in the audition. And I left the room. I was like, oh, my God, Seth signed my script. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, my God. And Jonah's like, that guy. Till, like, Judd Apatow and Greg Mottola and Seth Rogen, he's like, that guy, don't cast that guy. And they all said, we got to cast that guy.
After Jonah told director Judd Apatow not to hire Chris, he
Yeah, dude, that's what you want right there. Like the already built-in animosity. Now we don't have to direct all that shit.
said, "That's exactly why we're hiring him. It couldn't be more perfect. The
Yeah.
fact that it bothers you is exactly what we want." And their intuition was right. Jonah despising Chris only helped the hilarious dynamic between their characters on screen.
Didn't you say something to me?
I wasn't with you when you parked.
Yeah, but dude, you saw from afar that I was parking there. You should have said
I
something.
mean, I didn't think we were gonna be that long, man. I didn't. You're so stupid.
Since McLovin became nothing short of a cultural icon after the movie's release, Jonah's contempt for him makes him seem like a jealous co-star in hindsight. Despite having far less screen time than Jonah, McLovin stole the spotlight. Maybe Jonah knew Chris was great and tried to prevent his casting to make himself look better. Or maybe he was just young, working on a life-changing project, and his stress was through the roof. But you'll notice Jonah's petty behavior would grow to become more of a pattern as the years went on. Jonah's role as Seth is considered by many to be the best work of his entire career.
Yeah, I was gonna say that probably was his peak right there. Because then like Jump Street, 21 Jump Street was still good, but it was just like carrying off of this. And I think another movie I'm forgetting. But yeah, this was definitely his best role ever.
He delivered countless hilarious moments that remain quotable 20 years
Actually, Wolf of Wall Street, dude. I genuinely think that was like one of the best performances. Like that was so good, dude. It was so like in character.
later.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go piss your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago. Oh,
People don't forget.
Superbad became one of the most successful, and my personal favorite, early 2000s comedy films, securing $300 million when including revenue from DVD sales. Unfortunately, it also cemented Jonah Hill as the funny fat guy of Hollywood.
Jonah, do you think it's important
Dude, I've seen this clip. Oh, this one makes him look so bad.
to be unattractive to be funny? Can skinny people be funny?
I don't think it has to do with like anything besides just being funny and like being yourself.
How heavy were you in Evan Almighty?
I just don't think it's like I don't think it has anything to do with like what.
Even though that interview clip was a comedic sketch, it does accurately reflect the way reporters and the general public treated Jonah. Hollywood determined that his weight was a defining trait that made him valuable. He often got cast as the overweight, awkward guy who constantly was the butt of the joke. It even defined his iconic role in Superbad. But unfortunately for Jonah, his on-screen image also defined his real life too. You see, comedies have a way of blurring the line between the character and the real-life actor. Comedy films often look like normal people hanging out and saying funny things, and because of that, audiences often assume what they're seeing is just an exaggerated version of the actor's real personality. And for Jonah, that meant a lot of people didn't see him as someone playing a role, they saw him as the funny fat guy. And nobody knew it yet, but Jonah despised this, and he knew if he kept accepting the role as the funny fat guy, then he would never be able to escape this caricature of himself. From there, he did take on secondary roles in films like Strange Wilderness, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Funny People, but none matched the success of Superbad. And while voice acting roles in
I was gonna say, bro, I didn't even know he was in any of those ones.
How to Train Your Dragon and Megamind kept him paid, in 2011 he made efforts to establish himself as a legitimate actor after he landed a major role in the sports drama Moneyball alongside well-respected actors like Brad Pitt and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Moneyball was one of those rare films that was loved by both critics and fans. Jonah's performance was so great, it earned him his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, which you could tell he felt was a major highlight of his career.
I hope it never sinks in a real way because it's just so exciting and, you know, for my family. And when you say you want to become an actor, it just, you know, you shouldn't ever do things for awards or things like that. You should do them because you love them. But something like this just says, hey, you're maybe supposed to be doing the profession you're doing.
But Jonah still had a lot to prove, even to his co-star Brad Pitt. In a promotional interview for Moneyball, Brad heavily implied that Jonah was not a serious actor.
If you could adopt a personality trait or mannerism from one of your Moneyball co-stars, what would it be?
What would it be? A personality
Any one of
trait?
them. If they're sitting right here, that could be one of them. If it's Phil Hoffman, whatever.
No, I gotta go with a serious actor.
Okay.
As if his co-star calling
Oh, bro, that was That was way too direct.
Him unserious wasn't bad enough, Jonah's worst nightmare started coming true. Instead of his performance being the main topic of conversation, his physical appearance was becoming central to his identity. After Moneyball, he started trying to slim down a bit, and tabloids about Jonah frequently made comments about his weight, writing things like, "Jonah Hill looks like he's regained all the weight he lost a while back and his fans couldn't be happier? Hey, they're just thinking about his career," implying that he can't be considered funny if he loses weight. You could tell that Jonah tried to downplay his weight loss, as he definitely did not want all of his interviews to devolve into just talking about his body.
All my friends were in college, so I was living like a frat guy. Like everyone was just drinking beer and eating pizza with all my friends. And you know, as I mature, you know, even with this movie, I'm maturing as an actor and growing up and in front of everybody's eyes. It's like you just a certain time where you go, all right, it's time to be a responsible adult. You've got to be stop being a kid at some point.
Was there build up to it, or was it just like one day? And
no,
I'm
it was one day. I made a
Wow.
like looked up a nutritionist and called him up and went and.
Do you mind me asking how much weight you've lost? Or
I don't mind at all. I just don't know. I didn't know before or after, whatever.
Did you ever worry that people would perceive you differently? I talked to Seth about that when he lost a bunch of weight. You know?
No, you know, it's so funny. I think people make such a big deal about that, but I think if anything, it's like you can do all kinds of parts now. You know, it's like when you're a big guy, you can't play a thin guy.
You're limited.
It's impossible unless you use that
But
like
they can put
Captain
some pads
America
on you.
digital stuff or whatever.
Are you getting hotter chicks?
Oh man, no man, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that.
I you know have a lady. That's great.
But eventually, he would shut down interviewers bringing up the subject completely.
Yeah, I feel like at this point he got really pretentious because he was so like defensive about that, and then it was just like embarrassing.
But are you still considered the fat guy when you go to a party or anything? Because I run into that a whole lot. I'm the fat one. So are you the fat guy in Hollywood still, or is everybody like look at you and they're like, oh wow, you know, this is great, now you're healthy?
Do you have any other questions that are smart?
For a while, Jonah handled these types of comments like a pro, laughing it off or just avoid engaging with it at all. Because when you're a celebrity of his scale, there's a pressure to stay composed. Don't overreact or give anyone a moment they can turn into a headline. Because if they crash out, then that becomes the story. Jonah eventually started giving critics a piece of his mind, which did not fix anything. It actually made his life much worse. After meeting Jonah in person back in 2012, CNN anchor Don Lemon tweeted, "Said hi to Jonah Hill in a hotel. Think he thought I was a bellman. I didn't know his name till the bellman told me. A lesson to always be kind." And before we get into Jonah's response, this tweet is a perfect example of how Jonah Hill simply could not do anything right to satisfy the media. In the same breath, Don downplays Jonah Hill by saying he didn't even know who he was, essentially implying that he's not that important, but still expects Jonah to respond to him with a certain level of warmth and respect.
Yeah, what's that
it's
about?
This weird double standard where a celebrity can be reduced to just some guy but still expected to act like a celebrity. Unfortunately, Jonah's response only further painted him as emotionally insecure. "I said hi, what do you want me to do, move in with you? I was in a hurry, didn't realize you were a 12-year-old girl, peace." He continued, "I walked out of the restroom and found you waiting for me, shook hands, said hi, and was on my way. Sorry if you found that rude." Don replied, "Was waiting for luggage. Bellman and I laughed at how self-important you were. Just being honest. Be nice. Stardom is fleeting." But Don couldn't be more wrong about his stardom because Jonah was skyrocketing in success at the time, proving he was still a comedy powerhouse.
Dude, who the fuck is Don Lemon anyway, bro? Like, we all know you're with CNN, but like, who are you though, dude? Like, what have you done? I don't know. That would irritate me a little bit. I just like Jonah Hill, man. Like, I feel like everyone's being a hater for no reason. Like, he's good in the movies that he's in. No, most of them. Obviously, everyone has like dud movies, but I don't know. I don't know anything that's happened since then, so I'm gonna probably get a huge update and be like, oh wow, either I don't like him or like him by the end of this.
With the release of 21 Jump Street, which grossed over $200 million at the world. Worldwide box office, and once again gave us hilarious moments that will be quoted for a lifetime.
We're not popping each other's assholes. What we're doing is getting
Done.
But as Jonah's star power increased, his inability to let things roll off his shoulders would get worse as time went on. In 2013, Jonah was interviewed by the Rolling Stone alongside Seth Rogen in anticipation of his upcoming film, This Is the End, which is a stoner comedy about a bunch of potheads facing the apocalypse.
Dude, I want to watch that movie again. That shit is so funny. It's just so pointless, so funny. They don't make movies like that no more.
However,
it's not a good movie. It's stupid funny. It's like stoner movie.
The interviewers seemed entirely unhappy with Jonah's responses. Seth, we say, coming out of our reverie. No, I'm Jonah, Hill says blankly. That's a great way to start. We blanch, sputter, cough, and try to explain ourselves, but Hill is apparently in no mood to cut anyone any slack, which made...
Bro, I mean, you said the wrong name, though. I would think you actually thought it was the wrong name.
Just be how he is. He is serious. He is. Which I'm not, and neither are Franco or Danny, Rogen had told us. By starting the interview off referring to him as Seth, Jonah is being reduced to the superbad character people refuse to let him outgrow. And the moment he pushes back, not even aggressively, just correcting it, now he's the problem. Because to the interviewers, they were just joking. They try to break the ice and begin talking about exercising, to which Jonah replies, "My workout routine is of little relevance." For a while, they converse with Jonah and it goes smoothly until they ask a question that pisses him off. Liked when they asked, "What kind of a farter is he?" His eyes nearly jump out of their sockets. I'm not answering that dumb question. I'm not that kind of person. Being in a funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions. It has nothing to do with who I am. Jonah continued, "I've done one of the biggest challenges you can do in..."
Bro, they asked what kind of a farter is he? I was seeing up here. Hold up. Bro. After that, he tells us about the time he got a second-degree sunburn all over his back but was too embarrassed to ask friends to rub lotion on it. So he went to CVS, bought a Swiffer, grabbed aloe vera on the Swiffer, gobbed aloe vera on the Swiffer, and Swiffered his back himself. It was the most sad, dark, physically, and emotionally painful thing I've ever had to do. We comment on his ingenuousness. I got it done, he says, and that's all that matters. Has he ever acted in a spineless way? When I was 22, I wanted to break up with this girl, but I was too cowardly to do it. So I told her I was going on a trip around the world to find myself, and I actually did it. When I didn't want to go on the trip at all. I hate being by myself. I hate it. But I was 22, I'm 29 now. I'd never do that now. I'd be direct. Yo, what a weird interview, though. Weird ass interview.
Until they ask a question. A funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions. It has nothing to do with who I am. Jonah continued, "I've done one of the biggest challenges you can do in Hollywood, which is transition from being a comedic actor to being a serious actor, and I'm really prideful of that. I could have made $1 billion doing every big comedy of the last 10 years and didn't, in order to form a whole other life for myself. Now I have fulfillment doing both." The authors of the article then wrote, "That being the case though, you'd think he'd be able to relax a little bit, open up, take it easy." Once again, Jonah is in a situation where he cannot win. The interviewers expected him to act like the same goofy, raunchy character he played on screen because that's what people associated him with. If he leaned into it, he'd just reinforce the exact stereotype he was trying to move away from. But the moment he tried to take himself seriously, he came across as uptight and rude. Then again, some people think Jonah's attitude comes across like he is doing this Daniel Day-Lewis level method acting. He did 2 serious dramas at this point and the rest were comedies. He still had a lot of work to do to prove his dynamic range as an actor. Jonah was so determined to be taken seriously that he took a minimum salary of just $60,000 to play as Donnie alongside Leo DiCaprio.
Bro, I didn't even know that. He took like reduced ass pay to do this too. That's crazy, bro.
DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. Not only did he know the movie would be a hit and help him build a new reputation in Hollywood, but he wanted to work with one of the greatest directors of all time, Martin Scorsese.
As far as Jonah Hill's concerned, yeah, I met him in Mexico and he basically said to me, I know people like this. I know what these people represent in the culture. I've met people like this, and there's nobody on earth that should play this character except for me. I'm the man for this job. And I said, no, I hear you. He's like, no, you don't understand. This is my favorite script I have ever read in my life, and I'm destined to play this. So I immediately called Marty. I said, there's an actor out there that, really feels like they're the person for the job. But I think Marty met him a week later, and I heard it was one of the best meetings he'd ever had with an actor, and hired him kind of on the spot. And and in a lot of ways, Jonah Hill set the tone for this film. I think he really is one of the most unbelievably talented improvisational actors I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with, and took scenes in directions that we never even thought possible.
Donnie is probably in contention with being Jonah's most memorable performance next to Superbad.
Agreed.
Although Wolf of Wall Street is a comedy, Jonah approached the role with a level of commitment that went beyond just being the funny side character. He fully leaned into the world of the film, making...
Bro, it was the exact perfect, like, concoction of all the stuff he'd been dealing with in his personal life to actually put out in like an acting role. Like that was fantastic to watch.
You believe he truly was this desperate, greedy, power-hungry, twisted businessman who was constantly on hard drugs. But again, more fame meant more attention from the media, who wanted to push him to his limits. Except this time, he would have to make a formal apology for his actions. On May 30th, 2014, Jonah Hill was walking through the streets of Los Angeles as two paparazzi followed him, filming him.
I like the shorts though, bro. They are pretty sexy.
For the next minute or so, they followed behind him, not saying much, but filming and taking pictures. Typical annoying paparazzi. However, at the end of the interaction, Jonah called the cameraman the homophobic F-slur.
Have a good day. Enjoy. Suck my... Oh, a real bully.
At the time, many of Jonah's fans defended him, suggesting the paparazzi were annoying stalkers.
Yeah, dude, he was like legit harassing him. Like, I like your shorts, bro. They look real sexy. Like, I'd have an issue too. Like, fuck off, buddy.
But Jonah decided to use some time on his Jimmy Fallon appearance to apologize for using the word.
You know, I didn't mean it in a homophobic way. I think that doesn't matter. You know, how you mean things doesn't matter. Words have weight and meaning. And the word I chose was grotesque, and, you know, no one deserves to say or hear words like that. I
refocused onto his controversy.
All right, yeah, no, I remember seeing that, so I was just like...
That was very responsible and mature of him. Instead of discussing his upcoming film, 22 Jump Street, many mainstream programs were refocused onto his controversy. When speaking with Howard Stern, Hill said, "I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person." After 22 Jump Street grossed over $330 million at the worldwide box office, Jonah Hill had officially stamped his legacy as one of the best comedic actors of the early 2000s and 2010s. It seemed like everything he was cast in became an absolute smash hit, but he still had moments where he felt like he had to call...
Bro, she got done dirty in that little pose right there, man. That's awful.
All out disrespect from the media. In a confrontation live on French television, the female co-host made frequent references to Jonah Hill getting sodomized in his movie This Is the End. As he received the translations through an earpiece, the host continued with another joke about a fantasy she had about Hill, saying, "We would meet up in a hotel room at night. We would chat, you'd make me laugh, then all of a sudden you'd bring your friends DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and then you'd go away," implying that he was too unattractive for her to sleep with him. In response, Jonah said, "I'm glad I came on this show to get ridiculed by your local weather girl." It initially appeared that Jonah was simply laughing the joke off and sending friendly shots back, but his response was completely genuine, and after, he canceled all future media appearances he was scheduled for in France. The interviewer eventually apologized on camera with the statement, "Jonah, the problem is that for 10 years I have lived with you through your films. In fact, Jonah, I really had the impression that I knew you, so last Friday I thought I was just messing around with a friend, but the reality is that we are not friends." This once again reinforces the friendly, buddy-buddy image a comedic actor is expected to maintain in the eyes of the general public.
Yeah, bro, I mean, that's a little too far of a joke on TV, you know?
Jonah is expected to be able to take a joke at his expense and shoot the with anyone who feels like calling him fat or ugly, but when he cracks back or tries to correct them, he's the problem.
First of all, you smell good, which is surprising.
Why is that surprising?
I don't know. I just wouldn't think of a guy who would have a nice scent on, and it
that's
seems
such a like. I'm gonna really work hard to not take that as a shot. You know what I mean? Like, because I think you would smell nice.
A 2016 article best describes the sort of limbo that Jonah was stuck in. Despite establishing himself as a legitimate actor worthy of Oscar recognition, he was not taken seriously in the eyes of the public. The hilarious sidekick roles make up a numerically small but neon bright portion of Hill's career, and no number of contrasting performances can seem to override the public impression of him as a man who might, at any moment start humping the furniture. Unfortunately for Jonah, the public's perception of him would never change. His desire for approval as a serious actor, paired with his inability to manage the stress of stardom, led him to moving away from the silver screen and stepping behind the camera, focusing more on writing and directing. His first major film he directed in 2018 was called Mid-90s, which was an awesome debut. It is a coming-of-age film about youth skateboard culture in Los Angeles in the 90s. It wasn't a box office banger, but most definitely a classic that I and many other skate fans thoroughly enjoyed. He hadn't stepped away from acting entirely, but his new focus allowed him to fade from the public view while remaining a part of the creative process he fell in love with. His shift in career direction also marked a willingness to be more open about his insecurities and the difficulty he faced early in his career.
I became famous in my late teens to my young adult life listening to people say that I was fat and unattractive, and it's only in the last 4 years writing and directing my movie Mid-90s that I've started to understand how much that hurt. I really believe everyone has a snapshot of themselves from a time when they were young that they're ashamed of. For me, it's that 14-year-old overweight and unattractive kid who felt ugly to the world and wanted so badly to be accepted by this community of skaters.
However, even as he stepped away from the big screen, his
Whoa. He almost looks unhealthy right there. That's a lot of weight loss, bud.
his physical appearance remained a topic in the press. The late 2010s were plagued with articles discussing Jonah's weight, and it appeared that there was nothing he could do without it being brought up. One of the best examples of this is the Daily Mail. It has been documented that Jonah had lost 40 pounds after he stopped drinking beer, a decision he made all the way back in 2016. The Daily Mail would consistently find ways to shoehorn this fact into any article they could, regardless of its relation. Jonah making a quick stop at the coffee shop, they wrote, "He lost 40 pounds when he cut out beer in 2016. Surfing with some friends, they wrote, "Jonah Hill pulls down his wetsuit in Malibu to show off his bare chest filled with several large tattoos after losing 40 pounds. And after years of this, Jonah responded to a 2021 Daily Mail article, once again about his body while he was at the beach surfing. "I don't think I ever took my shirt off in a pool until I was in my mid-30s, even in front of family and friends. Probably would have happened sooner if my childhood insecurities weren't exacerbated by years of public mockery about my body by press and interviewers. So the idea that the media tries to play me by stalking me while surfing and printing photos like this and it can't faze me anymore is dope." As tragic as Jonah's history of ridicule was, it was nice to see that he had finally made peace with himself and his image. He continued to embrace this new image with a body positivity tattoo and became a cultural symbol for self-love. However, this was a double-edged sword. It wasn't just negative comments that bothered Jonah, but even positive comments about his appearance were deeply upsetting to him. "I know you mean well, but I kindly ask you not to comment on my body. Good or bad, I want to politely let you know it's not helpful and doesn't feel good. Much respect." It was only a matter of time before all of this would compound, and Jonah would announce a departure from the public eye to manage and deal with what he describes as a 20-year battle with severe anxiety attacks. It was clear that Jonah had become much more vulnerable in the latter half of his career. He had spent years being ridiculed for one of his deepest insecurities, but was now exposing his most sensitive struggles for the world to see with new confidence. This was thanks in large part to his commitment to therapy and relationship with his therapist, Dr. Phil Stutz. Jonah was so deeply impacted by this that he documented himself attending
I remember seeing that. I forgot that I did, but yeah, I've seen that.
real therapy sessions in a documentary titled Stutz. The film seeks to normalize therapy and introduce those who may be skeptical of the process. Dr. Stutz discusses a concept he describes as tools, which are essentially coping mechanisms and mental habits you can utilize in moments of stress and discomfort. These tools are the backbone of the documentary's narrative, and Jonah emphasizes their importance in helping him manage the many stresses of his life. However, it would come to light that Jonah hadn't entirely used these tools for good, and he would be accused of weaponizing the lessons he learned in therapy to control and manipulate his ex-girlfriend. Jonah Hill made viral headlines in July of 2023 when his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady exposed text messages he had sent to her 2 years earlier. Shortly after, he revealed that he and his current girlfriend were having a child. Plain and simple, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you are based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Two things in particular stand out. Number one, Sarah is both a professional surfer and model, and Jonah specifically tries to restrict her ability to do those things to continue their relationship. It's also worth considering that Sarah had been doing both of these things prior to when the two started dating in 2021. Almost immediately into the relationship, Jonah began making subtle implications that he was uncomfortable with her lifestyle. He writes, "Oh, and modeling, which is the last profession I would be with as a partner." She replies, "Well, maybe you should have asked me more about what I do for work before you decided to date me then." Jonah replies, "Keep taking me for granted." He sarcastically continues, "Go model. It's a fulfilling life. You'll love it. Real depth and substance and sustainability for relationships." But actually, I'm done with this convo. Besides his seemingly insecure and petty attitude, much of the
Yeah, that was pretty bad, bro. That was not good.
The discussion was surrounding the usage of the word boundaries. Many felt as though Jonah was misusing the word entirely. On the surface, it sounds like he's being self-aware, like he's calmly communicating what he needs in a relationship and trying to avoid conflict. It frames him as someone who's being honest about difficult topics instead of lashing out or controlling someone outright. And that's what caused many men online to rush to his defense.
Yeah, he's insecure.
Yeah.
But like, he's not saying like you can't be a human being. He's like, I wish you well. I just personally don't want you posting your ass on Instagram. I just personally don't want you going on these little surf dates with other men. I just personally don't want a partner that's gonna do that. And if you need to do that, you go for it. I wish you the best. You got it. But I can't have that.
I think he did a pretty good job. My boundaries are this. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
I mean, that is pretty fair, but it's like what Patrick said. You can't have it be like that's what she did before they got together. Like that's how her whole life was before. So if you come in and you're, setting boundaries now to say, "Oh, I'm not going to be with you for this, 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 and this," then it's bad because you knew the behavior was like that already. So I think it makes it a little bit different, but it is nice that he's laying it out the way he is. It's respectful.
Isn't that what we wanted? People to express themselves? People to be able to just say what they want, not keep that inside, not bottle up. That's what he did. Now, Sarah has a choice to stay or to get. That's it.
However, others interpret Jonah's words entirely the opposite way. Instead of setting boundaries on his own behavior, he's outlining restrictions on hers, what she can wear, who she can be around, and even the career she had before they met. So while it's packaged as vulnerability in communication, it can also be interpreted as him attempting to pressure her into changing her lifestyle to surrender to his expectations. Sarah also shares a text conversation shortly after an argument. She
Sorry, I said that I had a couple beers and I'm just upset. Was he going to read it? Hold up.
Voices her frustration at the restraint she feels in the relationship, noting that she was constantly trying to avoid an uncomfortable situation or argument. She looks for reassurance from him, describing her insecurity that he would eventually leave her. However, Jonah responded with hostility and passive aggressiveness. "You're right. We can't do surf social things or develop trust until you consider me and make decisions that give regard to our relationship. I've been as vulnerable as possible and I'm telling you I am needing you to step up to the plate, which you can, I am sure of it, but these losers don't get your time if you want me. Straight up, it's consideration. If you want marriage and family, you can't use the 25 card. Step up and cut These people don't get your time or your kindness at the sacrifice of minds." It was also revealed that Jonah was forcing Sarah to remove pictures or videos he found to be inappropriate from her social media, once again saying, "I've made my boundaries clear," and using degrading language like, "It's not my place to teach you." It appears that Jonah would constantly give Sarah an ultimatum: delete these pictures.
Yeah, this got weird right after that. I mean, she was coming back with the apology too, like trying to be understanding. Man, that was awful.
don't hang out with these people or you don't respect me and I'll break up with you.
Just don't be with her.
Brings up that Sarah does not respect him when it doesn't read like he has much respect for her either. Take some accountability and operate with respect. It's that simple. F that contest, F that place, and F not respecting me in every situation within surf culture, or you don't get it and you don't get me. It's hurtful and unacceptable to me. All of this seriously begs the question why he would start dating someone who clearly doesn't live a lifestyle that conforms to his own. Why would he choose to date a bikini-wearing surfer with allegedly—
That's what I'm saying. Just find someone else, bro. She's the exact thing of which you don't want.
Tons of toxic friends if they violated his boundaries. It came across to many that he was extremely insecure and trying to change a woman who he was likely not compatible with. Others that defend Jonah see this as nothing more than clear communication. He's being blunt and maybe a bit hostile, but he is angry and we all get angry. And others see his communication as calculated usage of therapy speak. Dude's a prime example of someone who learned just enough therapy speak to weaponize it against others. Geez, you don't have boundaries, you're just a controlling act. This was easily the biggest controversy of Jonah's career, with countless media outlets labeling his behavior as abusive. However, even those who were opposed to the way Jonah was speaking to his girlfriend were quick to say that this was not abuse. Insecure? Yes. Rude? Yes. Toxic? Potentially, but not abuse. This created a PR disaster for Jonah, but he chose to stay silent in regards to the situation. However, he did respond through his lawyers after Zoe 101 actress Alexa Nicholas accused—
Oh, what? Oh no, bro, not him too.
Jonah Hill of shoving her against a door and kissing her without her consent when she was 16 years old and he was 24. His attorney, Marty Singer, responded calling Alexa's accusations a complete fabrication, adding that it never happened and that she was a serial accuser who has made assorted accusations against multiple men in the entertainment industry. Jonah has continued his separation from the spotlight and hasn't made any form of public appearance since the call-out. Still to this day, most of what you see from him is paparazzi capturing photos of him on the streets of Los Angeles, still commenting on his weight loss whenever they see him looking different. He recently made headlines again after being pictured looking completely unrecognizable, although it's worth clarifying he was on set for a movie he's starring in. Jonah Hill's Hollywood legacy is a strange one. He's undeniably one of the iconic comedic actors of his generation, responsible for hilarious performances that have lasted decades, yet the conversation around him rarely stays focused on his work for long. It always drifts back to his body, his personality, his relationships, anything but the thing that made people pay attention to him in the first place. And no matter what version of himself he presents, there's always a reason to critique it if he—
Dude, what an amazing video, honestly. I fucking love Jonah Hill, but I feel bad that all that happened to him. But man, no, that was good. That was fantastic. I was dying to watch that video, so I was waiting to so I could do it on stream so I didn't have to just waste a video, you know. I was like, that's going to be interesting anyway. So, next video.